Hey everyone, welcome back to another Rebor review. Today we're taking a look at Notorious BIG, aka Saurophaganax Maximus. I ended up ordering this figure from Everything Dinosaur. It retails for $42, and there's actually 3 versions of this figure. The subject of today's review is the Volcanic Cavern version. There's also a Jungle version and a Badlands version, and I'll leave a link down below to Everything Dinosaur if you want to pick this figure up to yourself. And if you're in the US, I'll also leave a link to Big Bad Toy Store. I always like ordering from Everything Dinosaur because they always get the Rebor figures first, and I like supporting, smaller businesses. And as always with Everything Dinosaur, you do get a informational pamphlet included with every order from them on the dinosaurs that you do order. So that is always a nice touch. So it's been a hot minute since I reviewed any new Rebor figures, so it's always nice to get one in studio, and I'm really excited for this figure. There's not many Saurophaganax figures out there. I think Collect Day has one, but I was really excited to see Rebor, doing their, awesome bro take on this species, and it is a large theropod dinosaur, which is perfect for Rebor to tackle. So let's go over the package really quick before we take a closer look at Notorious BIG. Comes in a standard Rebor box. You got all the black with the silhouette of the skeleton. This is a new thing I've noticed. I haven't gotten too many new Rebor figures over the last couple of years, but you have the typical skeletal on here, but they actually have the known elements highlighted on here. I don't know if this is the first time that they've done that, but that is a pretty cool touch. And then spinning the box around, you get a picture of all the figures Rebor has released over the years. And I gotta say, I actually do have quite a bit of these. I have not reviewed all of them. Eventually I will get to that, but enough about the box. And there's one other thing you do get in the packaging. You do get a little informational postcard about Saurophaganax, which is always a nice touch. So enough about the packaging. Let's take a closer look at this figure. And let's start with a nice 360-degree view of Notorious BIG, another great product from Rebor. Most of the dinosaurs aren't the most accurate, but I really don't care. They make cool dinosaur figures, and that is just enough for me. And I have to say, this figure turned out really, really nice. It is a lot bigger than I expected it to be. Usually we get Allosaurus figures, they're kind of on the small size, but this figure is big. And for $42, it's a great price. For all the years I've been collecting Rebor, I've always felt that their products are absolutely worth the price that they are charging. They're never outrageous. You're always getting a good quality product. They always show off, the actual, production figure online, so you know exactly what you're getting. And the figures always are worth the price that you pay for them, unlike some other companies. And I think this figure turned out great. There's 3 different color schemes. I'd love to get all 3, but I collect Masterpiece Transformers, so yeah, gotta budget my money accordingly. But the red one definitely stood out to me, and I just like the color scheme on it. It's mostly different shades of red, orange, and yellow. They have a hefty amount of black on the back of the body, sides of the legs and arms. It kind of gives it that cooling lava look, which I think is fitting for the since it's the Volcanic Cavern version of this figure. So all around, a really neat looking sinister figure from Rebor. This figure, if you measure it along the curve of the neck and tail, is about 16 inches long and about 5 inches tall to the top of the head. So Saurophaganax, which is considered one of the largest Jurassic theropods of all time, is estimated between 34 and 43 feet long. So I put this figure somewhere in the 125 to the 133 scale range. So if you collect around 135 scale, this bad boy is going to fit in nicely. So let's zoom in and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure. I think Rebor did a pretty good job of capturing the head sculpt of Saurophaganax or Allosaurus. Maximus, it's still up to debate if this is just a different species of Allosaurus, but I think they definitely nailed the head shape. A little bit of shrink wrap, you can see the inorbital fenestra clearly, a little bit around the orbit, but it's really not that bad. It's just a cool evil looking dinosaur figure, and I'm really not gonna knock this thing for its inaccuracies, but I think the paint job is really cool. I like the red. It really pops, appeals to me. You get this bright yellow eye with this slit pupil, and it just really makes this thing look like it's from hell, like an evil dinosaur, and I just absolutely dig that. You can see like the crest has some nice dry brushing of black around it. You have some nice scale variation all over the head. The teeth are nicely sculpted and the jaw is articulated. It can open up about that far, and then inside the jaw you do get some nice mouth details. Let's see if my camera can pick it up. A little bit of shadows from the lights, but the inside of the mouth, Rebor does a great job of detailing the inside of the mouths of their figures. Get some nice gloss coat in there. Love the enamel looking plastic that they use for the teeth. Gives them a very lifelike look. Get some nice gloss on this really nicely detailed tongue. Even the gum tissues have some beautiful detail on it. And let's take a look at the head from the front. You do get some binocular vision. I have to say, that is such an evil looking dinosaur. I absolutely love it. And then looking at the top of the head, you get some nice dry brushing of black. Like I said, it gives it like that cooling lava look, and I think that is just a really neat looking color scheme. And then looking at it from the underside, you get some nice scale detail on the bottom jaw. Along the throat right here, you have some of the larger scales picked out in black, and then going down to the throat, you have a nice black stripe going down there. Lots of nice folds and wrinkles. Some large scales on the back of the neck, same thing, picked out in black. Going down to the arms, all those large scales have a nice dry brushing of black on them. Has a little bit of a gloss coat, so there's a little bit of shine from the studio lights. The hand claws are nice and large, like they should be on Allosaurus, Saurophaganax, whatever. Nice and sharp looking, nice glossy black coat. And you do have articulation on the arms. They can move forwards and backwards, as you're moving them. Yes, they can come out of the joint, but they're very easy to pop back in. When I actually got this figure out of the box, these arms were really tight. Had to heat them up a little bit with a hairdryer just to loosen them up. I didn't want to chip any of the paint while trying to force the arms forwards, but once you heat them up a little bit, you do get some nice movement, and then you can see some nice details on the inside of the hands. Some large scales in there. They almost look like crocodile scales. You get some more smaller scales around the wrist and fingers, and then turn the figure over. You get some really nice large belly scales and some nice small scale variation all underneath there. It's all done in a nice cream coat. And then look at the bottom of the feet. You get some really nice details on the bottom. Going down to the main body, you can see a little bit of ribs poking through, not too bad. Going down to the thighs, you have a very muscular looking thigh and calf muscles. Same thing, nice scale detail. Like, it's a beautiful looking figure. I wish I got the other colors, but like I said, priorities, Transformers. Going down to the feet, same thing. Some nice scale detail. Glossy black paint for the toe claws. You get some nice paint on those larger scales on the toes. So yeah, really cool looking. And then going down to the tail. The tail on this figure goes on for days. A nice long looking tail. It does come in two pieces in the packaging. It actually took me some force to get the tail in there nice and flush. Usually I show how you put the tail in on these figures, but it seems like they kind of made a more secure attachment for these tails, and I don't feel like fighting this thing for 3 minutes on camera, so just pushing in until it's nice and flush. And do we have a butthole? We always have to do a butthole check on these figures. Don't really see one, so I don't know how this poor dinosaur is gonna take a crap. Poor thing. And then going down to the rest of the tail, you get some nice scale variation, lots of folds and wrinkles, a lot of large scales along the back and all along the tail, right down to the tip. The tail is made out of bendy rubber, so you can get some nice movement. That tail, very thick rubber on here. I don't feel like the wire inside this tail is going to poke through on some, I feel like it's going to on some of the smaller figures, so you have a nice thick rubber tail on this figure. And yeah, this thing is cool, and I am definitely digging it. Moving on with comparisons, let's compare it to some other Allosaur figures from other companies. First up, here it is with Papo's Allosaurus. And next up, here it is with Namu's Offering. And next, here it is with Safari limiteds that does not want to stand at the moment. There we go. And next up, speaking of not wanting to stand, here it is with PNSOs. Nope, you don't want to do it, so there you all go. And let's do another Morrison Formation Lodge Theropod. Here it is with Collecta's Torvosaurus, and here it is with PNSO's take on that species. Another one that does not want to stand. And let's do some Rebor comparisons. Here's some of the few Jurassic period dinosaur species they have done. Here it is with their Ceratosaurus, and next up, here it is with their awesome looking Stegosaurus. And I think these two pair really nice next to each other. Man, this Saurophaganax absolutely dwarfs this Stegosaurus. But yeah, if you're looking for like a cool, diorama display, definitely display these two figures next to each other. And I kind of feel bad, that Rebor, over the last couple of years has gone away from the diorama dynamic of their figures. I love their Acrocanthosaurus, Deinonychus diorama set. We kind of got half of the diorama set with their T-Rex and the Fallen Queen. I'm going to be like 100 years old, by the time King Trident comes out. But I know Rebor doesn't like making herbivores, but if they introduce the, diorama dynamic back into their collection, people are going to pick them up, to complete the displays. So I really think it's something they should reconsider and bring back. I'd love to see their take on some more herbivores in the future. And speaking of diorama displays, here it is with their Acrocanthosaurus. And next up is Rebor's Carnotaurus. And the reason I brought out this figure is, if you have it, it comes with this nice display base. It looks like, cooling down lava. You have some nice cracks in there with the lava showing through. You can actually place the Volcanic Saurophaganax on top of that base, and I think it looks really cool. Another thing I wish Rebor, kept up with was making the bases for their figures, but thankfully it looks like they reconsidered that. They showed off some bases recently. Looks like they can be selling them separately, so I'm very happy that they're doing that. I love their bases. I think they're some of the best in the business, and the Saurophaganax figure looks great on the Carnotaurus base. And lastly, here it is with their old King Rex figure, which I am not going to balance on the little rock it comes with, because if I tried doing that, we'd be here for 10 minutes. So yeah, here is a comparison with these two. So, final thoughts on Rebor's take on Saurophaganax. I think it's a really cool looking figure. It's a very big figure, like I said. It's much bigger than I expected it to be. And I think it's a beautifully done figure. It's not a perfectly accurate representation, but I think they did a pretty good job. And I like fun dinosaur figures, and that's what Rebor does. So I am quite happy with this figure. The volcanic one is the one that stood out for me from the other two variants that they have. But it's nice that they're doing variants on all their figures lately. Gives everyone a chance to find a color palette that appeals to them. And for $42, it's a great looking figure. I said it earlier in this review. Every figure I've ever bought from Rebor always is worth the price I paid for it. The figures are not overly expensive, and you get a good quality product, and this figure is definitely that. Now, like I said at the beginning of the review, I ended up getting this figure from Everything Dinosaur. Link is down below in the description if you want to order that figure from them. And I'll also leave the link to Big Bad Toy Store if you just want another option to order it. At the time of this review, Big Bad Toy Store hasn't got them in yet, but I'm sure they'll be getting them in shortly. So that will do it for the review. Same thing I've been saying, every time I review a new figure. Really nothing else coming in, so I'll just continue to keep reviewing older figures. Jurassic World Dominion toys should be releasing in about a month or so, so once those start releasing, there's a whole ton of figures they have planned, and I'll be filming a review up with tons of reviews of those figures. PNS has been kind of quiet lately, but I'm sure they're just regrouping before they start another assault on our wallets. So that will do it, and I got a new toy, so I'm going to crack this guy open and play around with him for a little bit while my wife gives me the weird side-eyed look. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and is greatly appreciated. I'll see you guys for the next one.